I walked into the graduation hall, my chest tight, every step echoing on the polished floor. I scanned the rows, expecting to see my parents sitting in the front. My heart slowed, then dropped. Empty seats. Both of them. Right there, right where they always sat. I froze. No, this can't be, I muttered under my breath. Hey, Ethan, are your parents here? A classmate whispered as he passed. I shook my head. They're not coming. The words felt heavier than a ton of bricks. People glanced at me, some with sympathy, others with curiosity. I could hear whispers. Wow, his parents didn't come? My throat tightened. How could they skip this? My graduation. My moment. All for Ryan's stupid football game. I gritted my teeth. Of course, why wouldn't they? A flash of anger surged. I picture my mom cheering in the stands, waving at Ryan as he scored another goal, my dad clapping louder for him than they ever had for me. It wasn't fair. Never fair. Hey, Ethan, you okay? Lily's voice cut through the chaos. She had this way of showing up at the exact wrong or right moment. I turned to see her standing by the doorway, eyes wide. They didn't come, I said, voice breaking. My own parents. She frowned. Oh, Ethan, her hand reached for mine. I'm so sorry. I wish I could be there for you. I don't even know why I expected them, I admitted. I mean, they've always favored Ryan. But I thought today my voice trailed off. Lily squeezed my hand. You deserve every bit of this, Ethan. They're missing it because of their own choices, not yours. I wanted to scream. My chest was heavy with hurt, betrayal. They've done this before, I said bitterly. Every little achievement, every award. Ryan gets the applause. I get nothing. I know, she whispered. But don't let them steal your moment. Look around. You work for this. You earned it. I nodded, though the knot in my stomach didn't loosen. The graduation speeches droned on, but I could barely listen. I kept staring at the empty front row, imagining the laughter and cheers that should have been mine to share with my parents. Instead, it was stolen by someone else. A classmate tapped me on the shoulder. Hey, Ethan, congrats, man. You did it. Thanks, I muttered, forcing a smile. It felt hollow. Everyone else seemed to have someone. Except me. I walked up to the stage when my name was called. The applause echoed, and I smiled stiffly, waving. I saw classmates' parents, friends, cheering, hugging. My chest tightened again. The sting of emptiness was raw. After the ceremony, I found a quiet corner outside the hall. My cap felt heavy on my head. I reached inside and pulled out a small folded note Lily had slipped in earlier. You're not alone. I see you. Always. My throat tightened. Her handwriting, simple, yet full of warmth. Thanks, Lily, I whispered, clutching the note to my chest. I thought of Ryan, probably still celebrating with my parents at his football game. My parents, proud, happy, absent. The unfairness burned hotter now. I clenched my fists. One day, they'll see, I muttered to myself. They'll see what they missed. But for now, all I had was this hollow emptiness, the whisper of betrayal, and the weight of unshared triumph. I shoved my hands in my pockets and started walking toward the parking lot, avoiding the lingering crowds, my thoughts spinning. Each step felt heavy, and then my phone buzzed. Lily, want to grab a coffee? You need a friend right now. I exhaled slowly, a mix of relief and sadness washing over me. Yeah, I need that, I whispered, letting the note fall gently back into my cap. Even without them, I wasn't completely alone. But the hollow ache of their absence followed me like a shadow, and I couldn't shake the thought. How long had this favoritism been shaping my life? I stepped outside, sunlight harsh on my face, heart pounding. I realized then, this was just the beginning.
I slammed the door behind me, the echo bouncing off the walls like a warning. Where have you been? Mom asked without looking up from her phone. I was at graduation, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. You know my graduation, the one you didn't bother to attend. Mom raised an eyebrow, a slight smirk tugging at her lips. Ryan had a game. You understand priorities, don't you? I felt heat rise in my chest. Priorities? My graduation is a priority, Mom. My achievement. But you skipped it for a football game? Dad, sitting in his recliner with a beer, barely glanced at me. It's just a ceremony, Ethan. Don't make it bigger than it is. Just a ceremony? I barked. You mean the one day I wanted you here? The one moment I hoped you'd be proud of me? And you choose him instead. Mom's eyes flicked to Ryan's football jersey, lying on the couch. She touched it gently. He's our golden boy. You know that. Golden boy. That phrase hit me like a hammer. I could feel years of favoritism and neglect spilling over. You know what? I yelled, pacing. All my life, everything I did, you made me feel invisible. Every award, every accomplishment, you barely noticed. Ryan scores a goal, he's a hero. I get an A on my thesis and nothing. Mom tilted her head. Don't be dramatic. I clenched my fists. Dramatic? I just want you to see me. To care. How is that dramatic? Dad finally looked up, sighing. Ethan, stop whining. You've done fine. You'll survive. Ryan needed us today. That's all. I froze. Survive? That's what they thought I was doing, barely scraping by while they cheered for someone else. I couldn't breathe. Flashes of the past hit me. My high school awards gathering dust on the shelf, Ryan's trophies displayed with ribbons, pictures, and applause. The first time I felt invisible, the first time I cried alone after another parent-teacher conference, Dad saying, "He's the star. Don't fuss over him." And now this. "Lily's coming," I muttered under my breath, trying to calm down. She'd understand. The doorbell rang, and I rushed to answer. "Hey," Lily said, stepping inside with that soft smile that always made my chest ache a little less. I can't believe my voice broke. "I know," she said gently, "but yelling at them won't fix it. Channel that anger into something real. You're better than letting them define your worth." I stared at her. "But they've defined me my whole life. I don't know how to stop feeling invisible." "Start here," she said, tapping my shoulder. "Take control. Prove them wrong in ways they can't ignore. Your graduation, that's just the beginning." I sank onto the couch, my head in my hands. "I don't even know where to start." "Start small," Lily said. "Coach Daniels noticed your skills last season. He's hinted you could do something big if you focus. Think about it." I swallowed, the knot in my chest loosening slightly. "Coach really thinks I can?" "Yes," she said, smiling. "And I do too. You don't need their approval to succeed. You just need to act." I looked around the living room, at Mom's smug glance and Dad's indifferent shrug. Anger bubbled, yes, but a strange clarity cut through it too. Maybe it was time to stop waiting for them. Maybe it was time to take control. I will show them. I muttered to myself. I'll show them I matter. That I'm not invisible. Lily gave me a small, encouraging nod. That's the spirit. One step at a time. I stood, feeling the first stirrings of determination alongside the hurt. They had chosen Ryan over me again. But this time I wouldn't just sit back. I clenched my fists and stared out the window, imagining a future where they couldn't ignore me. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying and exhilarating. I might finally become the person I was always meant to be, with or without them.
I was sitting at the kitchen table the next evening when the front door burst open. "Did you see that goal?" Ryan shouted. His voice filled the house like fireworks. "I told you I'd crush them." Mom rushed over immediately. "Ryan, my star," she said, hugging him tightly. Dad laughed. "That was the best match I've seen all season." Ryan grinned and tossed his bag on the floor. "Coach said scouts might come next month." Mom clapped her hands. "I knew it. My son is going to be famous." I sat there, silent. Ryan finally noticed me. "Oh, hey, Ethan. You missed the game, man." It was insane. I stared at him. "You missed my graduation," I said quietly. Ryan blinked. "What? My graduation?" I repeated. "Yesterday." Mom sighed. "Ethan, not this again." Ryan shrugged. "Dude, it's just a ceremony." Something snapped inside me. Just a ceremony? I stood up so fast the chair scraped loudly across the floor. Ryan frowned. "Why are you yelling?" "Because none of you cared." I shouted. Mom crossed her arms. "Lower your voice." "No." My chest was shaking now. All my life I've watched this happen. Ryan scores a goal, and the world stops. I graduate college, and nobody shows up. Dad rubbed his forehead. "You're overreacting." "Overreacting." I laughed bitterly. Ryan grabbed a soda from the fridge. Bro, relax. It's not a competition. Not a competition. My voice cracked. It's always been a competition. And I've always been losing. Ryan took a sip. That's not my fault. You're right, I said slowly. It's theirs. Mom slammed her hand on the counter. Enough. I looked at her. You really don't see it, do you? I asked quietly. See what? She snapped. That you've chosen him every single time. Dad stood up. Watch your tone. I laughed again. A hollow laugh. You missed my graduation, I said again. Do you understand how that feels? Mom rolled her eyes slightly. We told you Ryan had an important match. So, I'm not important? Silence. That silence hurt more than anything. Ryan looked uncomfortable. Look, man, it's not that deep. I stepped closer to him. Not that deep. I repeated. Ryan, when I was 16 and won the science competition, where were they? Ryan hesitated. I answered for him. At your football practice. I turned to my parents. When I got my college acceptance letter, what did Dad say? Dad looked away. I said anyway. That's nice, Ethan. Ryan has playoffs tonight. My voice trembled now. I've spent my whole life trying to be enough for this family. Mom shook her head. You're being dramatic again. That word. Dramatic. It hit me like a slap. I stepped back. You know what? I said quietly. Maybe I am. Ryan shrugged. Can we drop this already? No, I said. Because this is the first time I've actually said it out loud. Dad pointed toward the hallway. Go cool off. I looked at him. For a moment, I almost obeyed. Like always. Then I shook my head. No. Ryan scoffed. Bro, you're acting weird. I turned to him. You've never noticed, have you? Notice what? That everything has always been handed to you. Ryan frowned. I work hard. I'm sure you do, I said. But you've never had to fight for attention. Mom sighed loudly. This conversation is exhausting. That was it. The breaking point. I felt something inside me collapse. Or maybe it was finally waking up. I'm done, I said quietly. Dad looked confused. Done with what? With trying to make you proud. Mom laughed slightly. Ethan. No. I interrupted. I mean it. Ryan leaned against the counter. So what now? I focus on myself. The words felt strange, but also powerful. Mom shook her head. You're being ridiculous. Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. Ryan walked past me and opened it. Coach Daniel stood outside. Evening, he said. Ryan smiled. Coach, come in. Coach stepped inside and nodded at everyone. Then he looked at me. Ethan, he said. I was hoping to talk to you. I blinked. Me? Yeah. Mom looked confused. What about? Coach folded his arms. I've been watching Ethan for a while, he said. He's got skills most people overlook. Ryan laughed. Ethan? Sports? Coach didn't laugh. I'm serious. He looked directly at me. There's a regional athletic training program starting soon. My heart skipped, and I think you should apply. The room went quiet. Mom frowned. Why would he do that? Coach answered calmly. Because sometimes the quiet ones are the toughest competitors. Ryan scoffed. No offense, but Ethan isn't exactly. Coach cut him off. Ryan, talent isn't always loud. I felt something shift in my chest. Hope. Coach looked at me again. So what do you say? I glanced around the room. My parents looked doubtful. Ryan looked amused. But for the first time, someone believed in me. I took a slow breath and realized something. Maybe my life wasn't supposed to revolve around their approval. Maybe it was time to build something of my own. I looked at Coach Daniels, and for the first time in years, I smiled. Tell me more. Coach Daniels sat across from me at a small diner the next morning. You look different, he said. Different how? I asked. Like you're finally angry enough to change something. I stir my coffee. Maybe I am. Coach leaned forward. Good. Anger can destroy you, or it can push you forward. I don't want to be stuck in that house forever, I admitted. Then don't be. I sighed. It's not that simple. Coach raised an eyebrow. Why not? Because every time I try to move forward, I hear their voices in my head. What do they say? That I'm not special. That Ryan is the one with talent. Coach chuckled quietly. That's funny. What? Because the strongest athletes I've ever trained were the ones nobody believed in. I looked up. You really think I can do something bigger? Coach nodded. I know you can. He slid a brochure across the table. What's this? I asked. A national internship program for sports performance analysts. My eyes widened. That's huge. Exactly, he said. I don't even know if I'm qualified. You are, Coach replied. You just don't believe it yet. I stared at the application requirements. This could change everything. Coach smiled. That's the idea. Later that afternoon, I sat at my desk filling out the application. My hands were shaking. Not from fear, from determination. I heard Ryan's voice downstairs. Mom, did you see the article about my goal? Mom's voice followed. My superstar. Of course I did. I closed my eyes for a moment. The same house. The same voices. But something inside me felt different now. I walked downstairs with my laptop. Ryan was sitting at the table, scrolling through his phone. Check this out, he said. They mentioned me in a local sports blog. Mom leaned over his shoulder. You're going to be famous. Dad nodded proudly. Then Ryan noticed me. What's up, Ethan? I placed my laptop on the table. I'm applying for an internship. Ryan shrugged. Cool. Mom barely glanced at the screen. What kind of internship? Sports performance analytics, I said. Dad frowned. Is that even a real job? I felt the familiar sting. But this time I didn't shrink. It's competitive, I replied calmly. Only a few people get selected. Ryan laughed. So you think you're one of them? I might be. Mom shook her head slightly. Sweetie, those programs are for top students. I graduated with honors. I reminded her. Dad waved his hand dismissively. That's nice, but Ryan has scouts watching him. Ryan grinned. Yeah, Coach said some colleges might call soon. I nodded slowly. That's great. Ryan looked surprised. You're not mad? No, I said. I'm just busy. Mom crossed her arms. Busy with what? With building my own life. The words felt strong. Stronger than I expected. Ryan studied me for a moment. You've been acting weird lately. Maybe I'm just changing. Dad scoffed. People don't change overnight. Maybe they do, I said quietly. Later that evening, Lily met me at the park. So, she asked immediately. Did you apply? Almost, I said. She smiled. That's huge. I'm nervous. Of course you are. What if I fail? Lily nudged my shoulder. Then you'll try again. It's not that simple. It is, she insisted. I sat on the bench and stared at the application page. You really think I can get in? I don't think, Lily said. I know. I looked at her. Why do you believe in me so much? She shrugged. Because I've seen how hard you work. I laughed softly. My parents don't see that. That's their loss. The wind rustled through the trees. For a moment we sat in silence. Then Lily said quietly, You know something? What? The moment you stop chasing their approval is the moment you become unstoppable. I thought about that. Really thought about it. Maybe she was right. Maybe my life didn't have to revolve around their opinions. My phone buzzed. A message from Coach Daniels. Did you send the application yet? I typed back. About to. Coach replied instantly. Good. Proud of you. 2 simple words. Proud of you. I stared at the screen longer than I expected. Everything okay? Lily asked. Yeah, I said quietly. For the first time, it actually is. I hit the submit button. Application sent. A strange calm settled in my chest. Not victory. Not yet. But progress. When I got home, Ryan was in the living room watching highlights of his game. Look at that pass, he said proudly. Dad nodded. Mom clapped. I walked past them toward the stairs. Ryan called out, Hey, Ethan. I stopped. What? You really think that internship will work out? I turned slowly. I don't know. Ryan smirked. Well, good luck. It sounded polite, but something underneath it felt uneasy. For the first time, Ryan wasn't the only one chasing success. And deep down, I think he finally noticed. My phone buzzed early that morning. I opened my email with sleepy eyes. Then I froze. Congratulations. I sat up straight. Lily, I shouted into the phone as soon as she answered. What happened? She asked, half awake. I got it. You got what? The internship. There was silence. Then she screamed. Ethan, I know. You actually did it. I laughed, the sound shaking out of my chest like something breaking free. They picked me. I said again, barely believing it. I told you they would, Lily said proudly. I stared at the screen again. Congratulations. We are pleased to offer you a position. My hands trembled. For the first time in my life. Someone chose me. Are you going to tell your parents? Lily asked. I hesitated. I don't know. Well, they should know. Maybe, I said quietly. That evening I walked into the living room, holding my laptop. Ryan was pacing back and forth. Dad looked tense. Mom kept checking her phone. Something fell off. What's going on? I asked. Ryan stopped pacing. They canceled the scholarship interview, he muttered. Dad frowned. Not canceled. Postponed. Ryan shook his head. No. Coach called. It's gone. Mom's eyes widened. What do you mean gone? Ryan rubbed his neck. They said my attitude during the last game raised concerns. Dad slammed his hand on the table. That's ridiculous. Ryan looked frustrated. They said I ignored team plays and argued with the referee. Mom shook her head. You were just passionate. Ryan didn't look convinced. The room felt heavy. I stood there quietly, watching. For years I had watched them celebrate Ryan's victories. Now I was watching something different. Fear. Dad noticed me. What are you staring at? He asked. Nothing, I said calmly. Ryan looked at me suddenly. What do you want? I lifted my laptop. I got accepted into the internship. Mom blinked. What internship? The National Sports Analytics Program. Ryan frowned. That thing you applied for? Yes. Dad crossed his arms. And I start next month. Mom forced a small smile. Well, that's nice. Nice. Just nice. Ryan looked irritated. How many people get selected? Very few. Dad shrugged. That doesn't guarantee a career. The old sting appeared again. But this time it didn't hurt as much. Because I understood something now. Their approval had never been the real goal. Ryan dropped onto the couch. This is stupid, he muttered. Mom sat beside him. Don't worry, sweetheart. Another college will call. Ryan looked unsure. What if they don't? Dad said firmly, they will. I watched them. For years they had ignored me. Now they were scrambling to protect their golden boy. And suddenly, I felt strangely calm. Later that night, Mom knocked on my door. Ethan. Yeah. She stepped inside slowly. I heard about your internship. Yeah. That's impressive. I waited. She hesitated. Do you really think it will lead somewhere? I closed my laptop. I do. Mom looked uncomfortable. I'm sorry we missed your graduation. The word surprised me. But they felt late. Very late. I took a slow breath. Mom, do you know how many times I waited for you to say that? She looked down. I didn't realize it hurt you so much. That's the problem, I said quietly. You never realized. She sat on the edge of my bed. We always believed Ryan needed more support. And I didn't. Mom didn't answer. That silence said everything. I spent years trying to make you proud. I continued. I studied harder, worked harder, stayed quiet. My voice softened. But you never really looked at me. Mom wiped her eyes. I'm looking now. I shook my head gently. I'm not the same person anymore. Downstairs, I heard Ryan arguing with Dad. You said scouts were coming. Dad replied angrily. They were until you started acting like a star before becoming one. Ryan shouted something else. Mom looked toward the door. Your brother is going through a hard time. I nodded. I know. Maybe you could talk to him. I thought about that. The years of comparisons. The endless favoritism. Then I said quietly, he never talked to me when I was hurting. Mom didn't respond. I opened my laptop again. The acceptance email glowed on the screen. Next to it was a photo Lily had taken earlier. Me, holding the confirmation letter, actually smiling. Mom noticed the picture. You look happy. I am. She studied my face carefully. You've changed. Yeah, I said softly. I finally realized something. What? I looked at her. My future doesn't depend on whether this family notices me. Mom looked like she wanted to say something else, but the words never came. She slowly stood up and left the room. I sat there in silence. Downstairs, Ryan's voice kept rising. Angry, frustrated. The golden boy was finally facing consequences. And for the first time in my life, the spotlight wasn't on him. It was slowly moving toward me. But the strange thing was, I didn't need it anymore. I adjusted my tie and looked at my reflection in the hotel mirror. Relax, Lily said behind me. I am relaxed, I replied. She laughed softly. Your hands are shaking. Maybe a little. She stepped closer and straightened my collar. You deserve to be here, Ethan. I looked at her through the mirror. 1 year ago, I said quietly, I walked into my graduation alone. I remember, she said. My parents didn't even call that night. Lily placed a hand on my shoulder. And tonight, I took a slow breath. Tonight feels different. We walked into the ballroom together. Bright lights filled the room. Tables stretched across the hall. People in suits and dresses chatted while servers moved between them. My chest tightened, not from fear, from disbelief. Coach Daniels waved from across the room. "There he is," he called. I walked over. Coach shook my hand firmly. "I told you this day would come. You believed in me before anyone else," I said. Coach smiled. "No, I just saw what was already there." Lily leaned toward him. "He still pretends he's surprised." Coach laughed. "You ready for the awards ceremony?" he asked. "I think so." He nodded toward the stage. "You earned this." I glanced around the room. Executives, analysts, athletes. A year ago, I would have felt invisible. Tonight, I felt something else. Seen. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I checked the screen. Ryan. I hesitated. Lily noticed. "Are you going to answer?" "I should." I stepped aside and answered the call. "Hey." Ryan's voice sounded quieter than I remembered. "Hey, Ethan. What's up?" I heard about the ceremony tonight." "Yeah." A pause filled the line. "I saw the article online," he said. "Oh, they're giving you the National Performance Award." "Looks like it." Ryan exhaled slowly. "That's huge. Thanks." Another silence. Then he said something unexpected. "I'm sorry." I blinked. "For what?" "For a lot of things." His voice sounded different. Less confident. Less proud. "I didn't realize how bad things were back then," he continued. "You mean when you skipped my graduation?" "Yeah, and everything else." I leaned against the wall. "I used to think you were just jealous," Ryan admitted. "I guess I was," I said honestly. "But I also felt invisible." Ryan sighed. "I didn't see it." "No," I said quietly. "You didn't." Another pause. Then Ryan asked softly, "Do you hate me?" The question surprised me. I thought about it for a moment. Then I answered honestly. "No. Really, really." Ryan sounded relieved. "I lost the scholarship last year," he said. "I know. I thought my life was over." "What happened?" "I started coaching kids at a local school." "That's good." "Yeah," he said slowly. "It made me realize something." "What?" "How hard people work when nobody is cheering for them." His words hung in the air. For the first time in my life, Ryan understood. "I should have supported you," he said quietly. Back then, I closed my eyes for a second. A year ago, those words would have meant everything. Now, they felt different, not necessary, but still meaningful. "I'm glad you said that," I replied. Ryan cleared his throat. "Mom and Dad saw the article too." "Oh, they're proud of you." I smiled slightly. "That's nice. You don't sound excited." "I'm happy," I said. "But I stopped needing their approval a long time ago." Ryan didn't argue. "I get that now," he said. A voice echoed through the ballroom. "Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats." Ryan heard it through the phone. "That's your cue." "Looks like it." He hesitated again. "Ethan." "Yeah." "Congratulations." "Thanks, Ryan." I ended the call and walked back to Lily. "Well," she asked. "He apologized." Her eyes widened. "Seriously?" "Yeah." And I shrugged. It felt peaceful. Coach Daniels raised his glass. "To Ethan," he said proudly. We took our seats. A few minutes later, my name echoed through the speakers. "And the National Sports Performance Innovation Award goes to Ethan Miller." For a moment, the room blurred. Lily squeezed my hand. "Go," she whispered. I walked toward the stage slowly. The applause grew louder, stronger, real. The presenter handed me the award. "Your work has changed how we analyze athlete development," he said. "Thank you," I replied. I stepped to the microphone. For a moment, I said nothing. Then I reached in my pocket and pulled out my old graduation cap, the same one from a year ago. The note Lily hid inside was still there. I looked at the audience. 1 year ago, I said into the microphone, I graduated college. My family didn't come. The room grew quiet. That day hurt more than I can explain. I held up the cap, but it also changed my life. I glanced at Lily and the people who believed in me. Coach Daniels nodded proudly. "I learned something important," I continued. "Sometimes the people who overlook you are the reason you discover your real strength." The audience listened closely. "You don't need everyone to believe in you," I said. "You just need the courage to believe in yourself." Applause filled the room again. I stepped down from the stage. Lily wrapped her arms around me. "You did it," she whispered. I looked at the award in my hands, then at the old graduation cap. For the first time, I felt like I finally had the graduation I deserved.